My name is Kim Sport. I am an attorney by profession, but been also defined by the fact that I am a three-time cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with breast cancer the first time in 2001. I underwent a lumpectomy, radiation therapy, chemotherapy, and 5 years of hormone therapy, and I really thought I had thrown the kitchen sink at that cancer. So I was shocked 7 years later when I developed a second cancer in the same breast. And I knew with that second diagnosis, because I had had my lifetime dosage of radiation, that my only option truly was to have a mastectomy. At that time, I decided to have a bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction, and I did very well until my first PET scan following my surgeries, and found out that I had thyroid cancer. So I ended up having a thyroidectomy and radiation ablation, and every checkup that I've had since that time has been absolutely normal, and I'm extremely healthy. And because I am so healthy, that is what spurred me on to become an advocate for other breast cancer patients. Well, I thought that the main challenge for women facing breast cancer was that they were not being told that breast reconstruction was a surgical insured option for them if they received a mastectomy. And that just made no sense to me at all, because we have laws on the books in Louisiana which say that before a doctor can perform any type of surgery or begin any type of cancer treatment following a diagnosis of breast cancer, they must inform the patient orally and in writing of every single option available to them before they can start any treatment. The problem, after we started investigating it, is that we found out no one was doing it. The law had been on the books for 10 years, and there was actually a brochure that was written in conjunction with the law. That's what had to be handed to the patient. And it told them about all of the options, things that I just mentioned: chemotherapy, lumpectomy, mastectomy, radiation, even breast reconstruction. But the law sat dormant for 10 years until an organization that I formed with two other breast cancer survivors, an organization called Restoration, found it, rewrote the brochure, and asked the Louisiana State Board of Medical Examiners to make sure that it went out to every single licensed physician in this state as part of their annual licensing renewal process, and to make sure that the law was enforced. Yes, that has been done. We did not have to enact any legislation to do it. The legislation was on the books. It was just a matter of having a law that wasn't enforced. And a law that's not being enforced is just as bad as not having a law at all. It has made a difference, because we are finding through our organization, Restoration, that many more women are coming to us seeking information about breast reconstruction, and also asking us to help them with funding those procedures. So we at Restoration do really three things. We educate women and the entire medical community about the alternatives that are available to a woman diagnosed with breast cancer. We raise money to help women afford breast reconstructive surgery following their mastectomies. And what we don't want to see a woman have to do is to choose between being able to send their child to childcare or to a private school, or not be able to afford their mortgage, or have breast reconstruction. We think that it should be an affordable, insured option for everyone. So we have funded over 100 surgeries for women since we started Restoration in about 2010. We average about 20 surgeries a year, and that's very important. But I think the most important thing that we do is our legislative advocacy, because we were reviewing the laws again this past year and found a law that said that if you had your mastectomy under one plan insurance plan, figure it's an HMO or a PPO, then you had to have your reconstruction under that same plan. That's totally unworkable for women. What if they are insured under their husband's insurance policy and their husband switched jobs? Well, it makes it impossible to have your mastectomy and your reconstruction under the same plan. Not all women are able to do what is probably the most ideal type of surgery, which is to have simultaneous mastectomy reconstruction. Life just doesn't allow it to work that way. And as Dr. Stoliar would say, sometimes the disease itself doesn't allow it to work that way. So there are going to be gaps between when a woman gets a mastectomy and when she decides to get reconstructive surgery. So we had to go in and fix this law to take that mandate out of the law, and we did that in 2016. Also, in the 2016 legislative session, we realized that the definition of breast reconstruction did not include things that some people might think are plastic surgery. For instance, liposuction, taking body fat from one part of the body to bring it to the breast, taking body fat from one part of the body to fill a donor site to make a breast. That's not your usual plastic surgery. That's a medically necessary procedure as part of breast reconstruction. Also, areola tattooing. People look at that and say, well, what does that have to do with breast reconstruction? And what they don't realize is that women lose their nipples during a mastectomy. Many women lose their nipples. So, and what these wonderful tattoo artists can do is actually create a nipple that looks three-dimensional, that has the same pigment color as the other breast. So looking at a woman, you can't even tell that this is a surgically created nipple, and she looks, I would say, almost normal, absolutely normal. That's a difficult question regarding why the laws are written the way they are. But let's face it, the majority of the legislators in Louisiana and in every other state and federally are men. And I think that it's a difficult topic for males to put their hands around. But what I did find, though, when we testified before the Louisiana House and Senate Insurance Committees, that there was an overwhelming interest for learning more about this topic. And they were so compassionate and shared their own stories about people that they knew, their own loved ones that had went through a cancer diagnosis and treatment, some particularly breast cancer. And that is why this bill passed unanimously through both House and Senate committees, and then on the House and Senate floors. What Brestoration does is it helps women afford the expenses associated with their surgeries. And as I said before, while we're not funding physicians or surgical institutions or insurance companies directly, we are paying for those ancillary expenses so that they don't have to make those difficult choices between my mortgage or my health. Every woman has her own passions. Mine, because I have experienced breast cancer, is being a breast cancer advocate. Another of my passions that few people know about is that I'm passionate about being an advocate for domestic abuse victims, because I found out that one of my sisters had been a silent victim for 12 years. So if someone is going to get involved in advocacy, then that particular issue has to touch them personally. And once that happens, you'd be amazed. You would just be amazed at what a little passion combined with perseverance can accomplish in your own state. I think if you can pick up the phone and make a phone call, you can make a difference. When you hear that there's legislation that will positively impact the lives of women in your own state, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call your own state legislator and say, I want you to vote for this because this is important for women. And that's all it takes. Just by doing that, you're an advocate. I think that another change in the 2016 legislation that was so important is that we made sure to clarify that the type of reconstructive surgery that is to be covered by health insurers in Louisiana is the surgery that is selected by the woman in consultation with her physician, because we do not want insurance companies in Louisiana dictating the type of reconstructive surgery that is good for any single patient.
Wow, so all of those decisions then are made between the patient and the physician.
Exactly,
Wow.
exactly. And while a woman is literally fighting for her life, and that's what you're doing when you have breast cancer, you are fighting for your life, these same women do not need to be fighting their insurance companies. There is federal legislation already, and a lot of states adopted that federal legislation in some form into state legislation. But even the federal legislation has some loopholes that we wanted to fill in Louisiana. So I think that now Louisiana probably has the strongest insurance coverage for breast reconstruction law in the entire nation.
This presentation is made possible through the support of Air Expanders and the Center for Restorative Breast Surgery in New Orleans. For more information, go to I'mTakingCharge.com.